Good to have you. Any questions? Come on.
Have you started emailing already?
Not yet.
Okay.
Sometimes I tell you things, and you scratch your head and say, I don't know about that.
I have a question.
I don't know if I believe that or not. If I ever say anything to you that you question, I don't mind you asking.
Could you explain why table salt is toxic? I know you did last week, but
Table
you
salt,
used that word toxic, so I was curious.
it creates an imbalance of sodium. We need sodium, we need chloride, but there are too many products that have sodium chloride in them. So as a general rule, most people have too much sodium in the body. There's a very important balance in the body between sodium and potassium to make the nerves correct. A lot of things depend on a good balance of sodium and potassium. When sodium's too great, things don't work right. So it becomes toxic to the body. It's has a detrimental effect. That's why cardiologists, and I agree, less salt, less salt, less salt, but they're not talking about what we're talking about in this class.
The right salt, right?
The real salt. That's the brand, and that's what it is. It's the real salts. It contains more than 70 different minerals, each of which your body needs to function properly. When God is on the earth, He didn't randomly throw things together. He made things so that they work. The word is synchronously. They work in harmony with each other. And for people to be healthy, they must have real salt. There have been wars fought over salt. It's a big deal. And many of the wars that have been fought, the primitive people really didn't know what we know today about salt. They just knew they needed salt. And their animals were attracted to the salt licks in the mountains.
So what about vitamin D? Are you still recommending vitamin D and all that to take? Or,
Do I recommend vitamin D? Yeah, it's up there in the sky.
okay, I'm just saying a supplement.
If you take, I have a vitamin D that I use sometimes, mostly in the winter. If you're outside in the summer, your body will make vitamin D from the sun.
So what do you take in the winter, like 5,000?
Vitamin D, or the amount? No, it's a combination of herbs together.
I see.
I never take a single. I do not recommend taking a single unattached product like vitamin D. That's not the way it is in nature. In nature, it's always connected with, they call it cofactors. Same with vitamin C, same with magnesium, same with potassium, same with the stuff we're talking about. They don't exist alone. Minerals don't exist alone. They help the body. They always work in conjunction with another protein or combinations of protein. Okay?
And what's the other combination with vitamin D then? Is there certain things that go better with it or that are in your supplements?
You know, the truth is I'm not a chemist. I trust the guys in the company.
Yeah.
I don't get too hung up on, going through everything, because the truth is, if you take the product that I have, the vitamin D, and you take it, and you take it, and you take it, and we all take it, it does different things depending on our body's
Chemistry.
metabolic rate, the amount of water we have, the pH, it's all different. It's not like shooting a gun with one bullet and one target. It's a shotgun approach. But that's the way Mother Nature has a shotgun.
Well, the reason I'm asking because it's been so hot, it's been hard to be outside very much, and then with the smoke. But then I keep thinking, well, maybe I should be taking vitamin D.
No,
Okay.
no.
Just go golfing.
Huh?
Just go golfing.
Yeah, I wish.
So that's a good point.
No, but I'm just
So
saying.
if you're worried about that, keep in mind, and you all know this very well, the sun changes positions. If you live in Canada, you need vitamin D more than here. If you live in California, where the sun is there a longer period of time, near the equator, it's all different. So it's different wherever you live. But you don't need very much, that's the point. It's like the real salt. You don't need a lot of salt, you just need a little bit often. Same with sunshine, you need a little bit often.
That's all I use is real salt. I don't even use any other kind.
Go to the farmer's markets, walk around in the sunshine,
Yeah.
don't buy anything.
Yeah.
You'll be nourished.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Okay, let's go to work. Today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic. It's a correlation between two corners of the triangle. The mental, emotional corner, the things you know, believe and feel, brain, spirit, and emotion, and structure. The physical alignment of your body. That means where the head is in relationship to the middle of the back. So it sounds odd, but there's a direct two-way correlation. This affects this, and this affects this, always. So I'm going to give you two handouts, but to simplify the discussion, I want to draw you another picture. When we think about posture, we divide forward, and we use the word A for anterior, and back, that's posterior. Right and left. The body, to be healthy, needs to stay right about in the middle. When you go outside of the middle, the further out you get, the greater the change of tension in the brain, inside the head. And just like if you're riding a horse, you pull in the reins on one side, and the horse turns its head. The horse behaves differently when there's pressure on that side. The human body is the same. And here's how it works. When you go right, you become more emotional. So we put the letter E. Right is more emotional. You become more sensitive. You become more caring. You become more loving, more tender. This is the female side. I'm going to put F, R-E-F. Female side. Women as a general rule are more that way. When you go left, you're more logical. That means you use the brain more. That's where men belong. L, left, logical, male. If they're healthy, and they only go a little bit, they don't go, if they're healthy, they stay within this range. they go too far, they become a nuisance. If you have a female that's too far right, she's on your case all the time, trying to do everything right. If you have a female that goes left, she's using her brain too much, she'll become argumentative, brain focused. The opposite is also true. If a man goes right, they become more soft, more emotional, more sensitive, more caring. Now it's okay for men to be over here on the right, but not too far. If we get married and have a couple, we want to have a perfect relationship with the spouse. We want healthy female and a healthy male. And stay in your own spot. Does that make sense? Now, that's the head and the upper body. When we go down to the bottom of the body, down to the feet, females have a tendency, if they're healthy, I'm going to draw a pelvis. A female hip on the right will go low, up to 5 millimeters. Now 5 millimeters is about the width of this. Okay? If they go lower than that, they start blaming behavior on other females. Like family, my daughter, mom, cousin, female cousin, and if they go further down, like the leg, draw a picture that this goes down lower. The lower they go, the further out they go on who's responsible for them. So I'll draw you a circle. The healthy woman is in the center. Around her is a family. Around the family is a church. Around the church is neighbors. For that is government. For that, further away, more government. Way out here, God. So when you watch people walk, watch which way which hip goes low, right or left. If it's right, they have what kind of problem? Female. If they limp on the left leg, male problem. I checked a fellow today, early this afternoon. He lay down on the table. I checked his leg length. His right leg was pulled up about that far. I knew for sure today he has a major female problem. It's his wife. So he's out of balance now at the bottom because of an emotional perceived shortage in his life. Now you're all confused, right?
He's having trouble with his wife.
You said the right leg was short.
That means
That means he's having trouble.
female.
Female
It's a
trouble.
female problem.
Okay.
I saw another lady this morning. She has a male problem so bad. I gave her a lift to put in a shoe to supply the physical need to create a balance because of an emotional problem.
So that throws the body out, the emotions throw the hips out. I'm not sure what causes that. I mean, you're just saying.
The brain works different dependent upon the stress that's on the brain. When you may I stand up?
You can stand up.
If if I stand up and I lean to the right, it's more easy for me to be emotional and more easy to focus on things that are sensitive, caring, right. Next time you watch a speaker a talk, you watch how they stand. If I go left, it's more brain oriented. Facts, figures. Now, the next thing I want you to learn is when you look from the side, the more forward you are, the more aggressive you are. The more back you are, the more passive you are. We have a big problem in our society because from the time we're small, you need to do more. You need to do more. You need to do more. So we have a tendency to lean forward. We have a tendency because of computers and games to lean forward. And it causes us to be more aggressive, listen carefully, than we have the capacity to be. So when you go beyond your capacity, you start to break down. Breakdown occurs in steps. The first step is you go too far. The body defends, if it can, if it has the energy available to tighten things up. If your body tightens things up, then you get tight back on the back of your head. You get tight back on the back of your shoulders. And if you keep going forward, they get tighter and tighter. And pretty soon you run out of energy and you can't hold it anymore. So then you go from adaptation, which is defense, those are good words, adaptation, which is defense, to over-defending, over-defense, that's mine. When you get into an over-defense, you get locked up, locked up tight. Those are the people who, when they lay down on the floor, they can't get their head back. They have to sleep with a big pillow under the head because it's not comfortable to put their head back. If they're back up against the wall, they can't touch the wall with their head because it's sucked forward. That's over-defense. Then if you stay that way, you start to get into acceleration breakdown. When I think of acceleration breakdown, I think of a person with accelerator and the throttle on the car. They're going too fast. They're above speed limit. Now they're breaking down fast. That's where you were when you came in. You were up here and you were breaking down fast. Now we've slammed on the brakes, we've slowed you down, and now you have the ability to drive slow. I have a patient I saw this morning who's in her early 80s, and I've been telling her for more than a year, slow down. Well, most people who get old don't like to slow down. They like to act like they did when they were younger. Oh, I used to do this. I used to, well, look at your driver's license. Look at the number on there. You're not young anymore. I had a fellow 2 weeks ago that said, I feel like an old man. I said, you are. You are, face it.
I like to face it.
No,
So
so
we're supposed
my
to watch
lady,
out for drivers that are sitting forward because they're aggressive.
exactly. So the lady that was telling about I said today, she finally, about 2 months ago, slowed down. She said, I feel a lot better. Yeah, you do. In fact, on the first visit, the first day I saw her, I said, you need to buy yourself a rocking chair and get in the rocking chair and lean back. You need to practice getting your head back further so you don't automatically go forward. She didn't buy a rocking chair for a long time. Finally, her daughter went out and bought her a rocking chair, and she said, that really helps me.
So my mom walks like this. and she has mild dementia. But she's getting ornerier and ornerier and ornerier. I just thought it was dementia, but it's this. And my dad has said that for a long time. My mom is getting so ornery. And she's aggressive.
Last Wednesday morning, I examined a fellow, he's 82, and you look in his eyes, and he's there about a third of the time. And I said, tell me about your brain. He said,
Mm-hmm.
I think my brain is slowing down. So for me to help him, the number one thing was we need to get you back up normal. So I had him do some homework, and I saw him today. One of the things I had him do was walk backwards in the hallway. He's walking backwards, and when he walks backwards, he straightens up. And he got a T-zone today, so he could go home and do, like you do therapy multiple times each day to help train the new tissue that's growing in his body. The old tissue, we can't fix it. It's bad tissue, it's scar tissue. It's locked up. But it's going to be replaced with new tissue. And that's part of why we have this discussion today, is because some of the patterns that you have structurally are caused by the way you think. And the goal is to get, regardless of your age, the goal is to get back to balance. So your head is right in that center part, not too far right or left, and not too far back or forward. If you have grandkids or great grandkids, you watch them when they're 9 months old, and they start to try to walk. The biggest challenge is what? Keeping the head over the body, over the center. And then when they get 80, they have the same challenge again. They have to keep the head over the center of the low back. I took an X-ray of my grandmother Cooper when she was 92. It made my year, because she was true blue, straight up. Her only complaint was with God. Why doesn't God let me die? Fred's been gone for 15 years, I'm all alone. When they took her X-ray, she was right in the middle. Turned her sideways, she was right in the middle. It's like, you're gonna live forever.
So forgiveness is key then.
Pardon?
Forgiveness is
Key.
Key.
Big deal.
Yeah.
Big deal. Okay, so that's kind of the big basic. Females go right, males go left. We don't want to be too aggressive. We don't want to be too passive.